into the scene as she tells her story, A Walk Down the Street. Woo!
Can I just take like a collective exhale with me? Yeah. I needed to get the cheese crunchies from Trader Joe's. And also definitely the blueberry goat cheese log, because if y'all have had it, you know that is the best cheese that Trader Joe has. Because it had been a year, y'all. 2021 was a tumultuous year for all of us. But it was also a year of really stepping into the fullness and the abundance that life has to offer, both for me and for my community. It was a year of stepping into my own power and my own passion of really empowering the AAPI community, or Asian American Pacific Islander community, especially in a year where we had experienced such tremendous violence and racism and hate, but also so much vibrancy and creativity and life and connection. And as I was calling more opportunities in, I had opportunities to do speaking events and to lead healing circles and spaces and trainings and workshops to empower the community. And it felt so amazing to step into that. Personally, I was healing through some intergenerational trauma, which we should all do. I got promoted at work. I also got engaged and married to the love of my life. That's right! And all before I hit 30, so for my Asian mom, like made it before 30. Thank you. Yes, so I was #living my best life. I was thriving, and we all know you cannot live your best life without cheese and carbs. And so that is what I set out to do on this 27th day of December 2021. I said goodbye to my husband. You know, he said, be careful or be safe out there. Text me if you need me. And off I went. A few errands in, I am walking down Market, a couple blocks away from the Trader Joe's that's on 4th. When all of a sudden I hear a man yelling from behind me, "Move and get out of my fucking way, bitch." And I stop. And I think, they can't possibly be yelling at me. I'm just walking down the street. And so I turn to look, and I see this man coming up from behind me. And as he sees me face to face, he yells, "Oh, you're just a fucking slant-eyed bitch. You're just an Asian bitch. I don't even blame you for not being able to see me." And all of my female spidey senses go up, and I'm like, this cannot be happening to me right now. I need to get safe. And so I slow down my pace to try and put some distance between me and this person as they continue to yell racial slurs at me. And when we finally go our separate ways at the crosswalk, I book it to TJ's. It is one thing to know that this is happening, to support other people as it's happening, and it is another thing entirely for me to experience it myself. Over the next couple days, I really struggled to process and to understand what I had just experienced and what I was feeling from it. I struggled to understand the intentions behind the questions that people had asked me about this interaction. Questions like, where were you? This couldn't have been in San Francisco. Were you alone? What time of day was it? Was this person homeless or mentally okay? I honestly struggled just not to beat myself up for how I was feeling and how long it took me to get over it or to process it. I do this work all the time. Shouldn't I have moved on faster, or shouldn't I have known better or done better or said something different? I literally had a whole therapy session where I asked my therapist, like, should I have been more of a badass in how I responded? Like, should I have done something else? To which he obviously was like, no, you were tripping. But then here I was just sitting with this energy, this feeling of fear that I felt so trapped. It was just so trapped in my body. 2 weeks later, I got a series of texts one morning. People asking me, hey, are you okay? I saw the news. I just want to check in. And I had no idea what had happened. It had already been a couple weeks since this incident. So I go to my most trusted news source, my Instagram feed, of course. And I'm scrolling and scrolling. And then I see it. I see the face of Michelle Go, a 40-year-old Asian American woman who was pushed to her death in front of a train in New York City. And I must have stared at her face for what felt like a lifetime. And as I looked at her, all I could see was my mom, my sisters, my friends, my beloveds. And I saw myself. And I realized in that moment that that could have just as easily have been me. It could have been me. She was just existing. She was just trying to catch the train home when this happened to her. Just like I was just trying to walk down the street. And that easily could have been me. My newsfeed continued to fill with images and stories of other Asian women who looked like me, people who were part of my community, who were injured, who were assaulted, who were killed. I listened as my husband's goodbyes to me turned to, be careful, bring your taser, don't stand too close to the platform when you wait for the BART or the Muni. Such small things, just trying to move through the world. And at the same time, I said, I do not want to let this fear define me. I want to continue to move through the world with my fullness and with my power. And so I continue to walk through the streets of San Francisco, safely, of course, and with caution, but I was like, I'm going to continue to live my life, and so that's what I did. And later that week, on Sunday morning, I was taking a run through the park behind our apartment when all of a sudden I stopped as I heard a man yelling. And I thought, this cannot possibly be at me. I'm just running through the park. But it became very clear the closer I got that I was the target of his aggression. And I have no idea what he was yelling at me or what he was saying. All I know is the feeling of fear that swept over my body as I continued to hear his voice following right behind me as I ran out of the park to safety. And I ran as quickly as my legs would carry me, and I got home, and I just completely collapsed. It was too much. It was too much. All I wanted was to be able to feel safe, to move through the world, and to do the things that I need to do. And it was too much to look at and acknowledge what was happening, not just to me, but to so many others. And so in that moment, something just switched for me, and I said, I can't do this anymore. I don't want anyone else to ever feel the way that I feel or to experience this. And so I took all of my feelings, all of them, and like a true Libra, a true Enneagram Type 2, for those of you who know, I put all of my feelings into helping and supporting other people in my community. And any other feelings, I just like pushed it way down. It's like, I can't do it. So I'm just going to support other people. I'm just going to give. I'm going to make sure other people are okay. And so that's what I did for the next few weeks. I just threw myself into planning community events, to holding healing circle after healing circle in as many spaces as I possibly could, in hopes that that would somehow take away this pain that I was feeling. And here I am at the end of a stretch of healing circles that I had led. I just finished facilitating a women's healing circle, and I felt great, and it went so well. And so I was hungry because I'd done all this work, and I'd also not left my apartment for 3 days, which is not that weird during a pandemic, I think. But I needed to get some food, so my husband and I decided to get RT rotisserie 2 blocks from our apartment. I thought I could do that. And as we stepped outside, even though it was late and dark, I breathed this huge breath of relief that I could be outside in the dark and feel okay. It was all right. So we walked to RT, and as we're coming back, it's hills every direction to our apartment. So we're making it up the hill, and just as we get to the top, I hear to my right the sound of another angry man yelling in our direction. And I am completely paralyzed. This cannot be at me. Like, what am I doing? I'm just trying to get home. My whole body is just frozen, and I feel every single cell in my body just on alert and stopped at the same time. And I feel my body just getting ready and activated and prepared to fight if we needed to. Before I can even look, I hear my husband say, "Oh, shoot, did you see what just happened?" Turns out it was just a man yelling at a car who didn't stop for him at the intersection. But it didn't matter. I didn't even realize how hard I was clenching my husband's arm until I let it go to try to catch my own breath. As the feelings of just all of the fear, all of the anxiety, all of the exhaustion and the grief and the sadness that I had been trying so hard not to acknowledge over the last few months just came crashing over me. I felt all of my body just collapse in exhaustion and sadness that something like this would just bring me immediately back to that place again. And I cried to myself, what is it about me and my identity that makes people feel like it's okay to be violent towards me? What is this strange feeling of gratitude to have not been violated or assaulted, or to have something worse have happened to me? I just want to feel safe. I just want to exist. There isn't really an ending to this story because it really hasn't ended quite yet. I continue to really wrestle and struggle with the grief and with the anxiety that I feel constantly when I'm out and about in the world. I still really struggle to remember that even though society tells me to be small, that my story doesn't matter, that despite the collective or common experience that we have, that doesn't diminish or erase my unique experience and my unique story. Which is a hard one to remember, that my story is still valid, that my experience and my existence is valid. And so even as I continue to sit with and sit deep in this grief, I also still really have hope that I am creating and will one day be a part of a world where not just me and not just other folks who look like me, but all of us can move through this world in the fullness of who we are and feel safe. Whether that is going on a run through the park, or getting cheese at TJ's, or truly just walking down the street. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Christine, for sharing your story. And so all of our storytellers tonight are also going to talk about an organization that they are wanting to bring attention to and support. So Christine, can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, definitely. So tonight I'm raising awareness about an organization, Hate is a Virus. We started about 2 years ago during the rise of all of the anti-Asian violence and racism that was happening. Not just to address that, but I think also to really celebrate the power and the beauty of our community as well. And so the ways that we do that is we fundraise money that we then give directly back to Asian American grassroots organizations that are deep in the community, have been doing the work, and really wanting to sustain them. We know a lot of times with different social causes or things that happen, people want to give and donate and bring attention to it in the moment, and then when it passes, there's less resources for those communities that really need it. So that's one way that we're really supporting them, and just really highlighting the work that they do, as well as just really celebrating, again, like the beauty of our community, and I think really bringing everybody into this work. So yeah, your contribution means a lot.